Welcome to Rowan's Pitch in Ken Ross Park in Barrhaven. It's the Eastern Ontario Rugby Union Women's Senior Division. The Barrhaven Scottish hosting the Kingston Panthers. Hello everybody, Dan Mooney alongside Leellen Carroll, the manager for the men's under-20 national program, and these two teams are really evenly matched, aren't they, Leellen?
Yes, I think we're going to see a steamy game, probably as steamy as it is outside today here in Ottawa. You will see the ladies representing the Scottish in their traditional kit, of course, with a tartan down the sides, and the Kingston Panthers in their traditional black and gold. But this should prove to be a good match, a tough match, and a great one to watch.
The referee for this one, Mccoy Wisachenski. And we are just about set to get underway here. Barrhaven Scottish women's team will more than likely be forced into more of a kicking game here this afternoon because of the fact that they haven't had an opportunity to work together very often.
It has been a long couple of years for everybody, and of course that includes our athletes. So at this time last year, we were actually limited to any sort of training without any contact. That meant people were training by kicking, passing, but no contact whatsoever. We only started a return to contact, which takes about 8 weeks of training under the World Rugby laws, last fall. So this is really the start of a new season in almost a new decade of play.
Scottish got the ball inside the Kingston 22, and that ball knocked on.
And that, of course, is Jackie Titley, former member of the Canadian Women's National Squad.
Jackie Titley wearing number 14 on the outside. Barrhaven with an opportunity to use some of their speed, getting the ball downfield, and this will more than likely be a field position game as the Scottish send the ball in for scrum. There's a bit of a battle there between Susanna Baudin and the Ruck Forums just outside the Kingston 22.
Take it, Lassie!
And it will be Kingston ball. They kick it downfield, didn't go into touch. And now Barrhaven, that ball knocked on.
The young woman catching that ball there, the fullback for the Scottish, is Sydney Seymour. Sydney lives in Cornwall, and she did go to Algonquin. She came through the Eastern Ontario Rugby Union, the junior rep program, graduated from that about 4 years ago. I know she's been at trials trying to find a place on a roster for the Professional Rugby Sevens League that is just getting a get-go in the USA.
Kingston scrum just over the midfield stripe at the 10-yard line. And now Kingston will attempt to run it wide. That's Michelle Harper. She goes to ground, and the ball comes out once again. The big number 8, Darcy Harris, plunges forward, and Kingston continues to move that ball to the outside, now forced back inside after a missed pass. Ruck forms, Kingston going to the far side. Once again, it's Harper. Harper forced out wide, ball comes loose.
It's nice to see some flow there by both sides.
Now, you're familiar with quite a few of these women who have gone through the national program. Is there any sense that some of these women will indeed play for Canada at some point?
Well, we all know that club rugby it's really the grassroots of rugby throughout Canada, and that's where rugby is focused now as we try to rebuild so many events and so many issues and so many activities as we emerge from after the second year, and we're still in the third year of the pandemic. But for these young women, a lot of them probably were attracted to rugby in high school, and if they were interested in sort of upping their skill level, they had the opportunity to go to representative, whether they were repping Eastern Ontario or the province. The only one I do recognize that's already played for the national squad is Jackie Titley. Doesn't mean that the others haven't. I think there are a few on both sides that do have it on their radar of making it, whether it's 7s or 15s, but they certainly would like to pull on the red maple leaf jersey.
Who wouldn't?
Of course, I have to buy my jerseys.
So Jackie Titley standing over the ball. Leah Pettis was shaken up. She got up limping a little bit, but no worse for wear. She stays out there. Still getting some attention from the training staff.
Yeah, that's Kathleen, their athletic therapist. Now, Jackie, who's about to take the kick, is in a particular position. Some may be it would be the worst position to be in, but she's also the head coach of the Scottish women's team.
What better way to get your message across than be out there with them?
She's great communicating. She actually works full-time for Rugby Canada in development.
And Isabella Roos allows that one to go. Funny bounce. And it'll be a Scottish line out here just over the midway stripe here at Rowan's pitch, named for a young rugby player named Rowan Stringer, who got injured in a high school rugby game over at John Mccoy, and just a huge part of the rugby community. And like you said, Lee Ellen, they get their start in high school rugby, and that's where Rowan started her rugby career. And unfortunately, she was injured and succumbed to her injuries, and that's the reason why she's so lovingly remembered here at Ken Ross Park on Rowan's pitch.
Absolutely. Rowan suffered not just one concussion, but two. And because of her death and a public inquiry into it, a law was passed in Ontario. It's called Rowan's Law, and it's being adopted by other jurisdictions and other sports. And it's about, basically it comes down to, when in doubt, sit them out.
Yeah.
You know.
Always err on the side of caution.
Absolutely.
Especially in situations like that. Here's Morgan Hummel. She dishes off for Emma Glenn. Glenn plunges forward beyond the midfield stripe. Back once again. Big push as Kingston elects to go with a more ball control offense. They don't want to give it up to go get it again.
Not wanting to take any risks.
Alessia Arsenault. And number 8, Darcy Harris. That'll move up 10 yards. And Arsenault starts it off. Harris goes forward. Looked and used Katie Williams as a decoy. Barrhaven with the steal. That's Jess Moosey.
Some power there.
Barrhaven taking it. Susanna Bodang over midfield. Offloads. Gets it to the outside. Cutting back in. And once again, Scottish continuing to barge their way through the Kingston defense.
What you can't see off camera right now is actually the athletic therapist Kathleen is back on the field tending to another Scottish player. So right now, Scottish are playing with 14 up on the offensive side.
It might be Michaela Lovett, the injured player. There's Titley diving forward. She's brought to the turf, and Barrhaven with a good push on this sequence. Barrhaven inside the Kingston 22. All the way to the outside. Sydney Seymour gets to the outside. Seymour will be in, and she's awarded the try. 5-0 Barrhaven.
Nice little fend there from Seymour.
So in the early going, the Barrhaven Scottish women's senior team ahead of Kingston now with the convert pending. And they did that with only 14 players on the pitch.
Yes. A little break in this heat perhaps for the Scottish. Grab some water.
Kingston too, so important on a day like this, 32 degrees without the humidex, to stay hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm certain there were measures that had to be implemented with regard to water bottles and everything too.
During the pandemic, actually, yes, team bottles were a thing of the past. You couldn't share any team equipment, including bottles, or especially bottles. Everybody's pretty used to carrying their own water bottle now and refilling them, so not really much of an issue. But that's Jackie, of course, with the conversion. She coaches, she kicks, she passes, she plays. What can she not do?
5 for the try, 2 for the convert, and Barrhaven leads 7-0. Just 10.5 into this opening 40 minutes here at Rowan's Pitch in Barrhaven, and couldn't have asked for a better day, but the wind's starting to pick up, Lee Ellen. Is that going to be a factor in this one?
I think it's going to be, it's one like an economist. On one hand I feel this way, and on the other hand the other way. So yes, will be factor in. First of all, a little relief from the heat, but secondly, right now the wind is mostly at the backs of the Scottish. So as the Panthers take this kick, this player's got to be considering how high she wants to put the ball now.
7-0. Kingston. Katie Williams with the kick. And a bit of a grubber taken to the outside by Strike. Ashley Strike forms the ruck. Back come the Scottish. Hooker Sarah Armstrong moved it forward. Here's Titley. Went to ground, got back on her feet, formed the ruck, and now it's Rebecca Fournier, the prop. Moving forward. Big push there by Faith Akiki, Nepean High School graduate. Ashley Strike moves it forward, ball knocked on into the hands of Alicia Arsenault.
Come on!
Williams for Harris. Harris driving forward.
Keep your feet 6, no hands.
I think I just saw a mouth guard pop out there.
I'm sure that's not going to be the only time that happens this afternoon.
Well in, Darcy. Come on, Kingston. Get fired up.
I believe the mouth guard belonged to Jess Mootsie, and she's a little slow getting up.
Voices. Talk. Come on.
I think that people that see women's rugby at this level are going to be very, very surprised at the level of contact.
Absolutely, I'd say I think I'm slow to get up, but that's every morning if I haven't stretched properly the day before. Hers is a little more well-earned.
Ashley Strike having a conversation with referee Mikhailo Wysochenski, looking for a clarification on a rule, as you see Jess Mootsie getting some more attention from the training staff, and this athletic therapist is probably one of the busiest I've seen so far this season.
She's also certainly one of the most experienced in the region. She was the athletic therapist when Canada had a Super League, and there was a team in Eastern Ontario called the Harlequins. Kathleen.
I remember that.
Yeah, Kathleen certainly, she traveled all over Canada with them at that time. Yeah, there are calls currently coast to coast to bring back a league such as that.
What are the chances?
I think now with the MLR, the Professional Rugby League, with one Canadian team right now, the Toronto Arrows, and all of the other teams in the States, I'm not sure we're going to see the Super League return to Canada. Certainly young men and adults are aspiring to make professional rugby or the national team. And if they don't have an opportunity here in North America, you know that they're going to be getting on a plane with their passport, when they get a passport, and head overseas.
Kingston scrum. Arsenault puts the ball in. Harris driving forward, loses control. Ruck forms. Arsenault gets it back, but all kinds of contact, and I believe Faith Akiki called for going over the top. No, it's a foul against Kingston, and that ball goes into touch on the full, and it will be a Barrhaven lineout.
John, that's a terrible mark, lady.
Now taking the throw is Sarah Armstrong, and Sarah is very local actually. She went to Longfields Davidson Heights Secondary School, which is just down the road from this pitch. She's been a member of Scottish since she started in rugby, and is currently studying at Laurier and part of their varsity squad there.
Kingston controlling off the lineout. Jess Hines into the match now, driving forward, and again another Scottish lineout. Armstrong unsuccessful the last time.
Well done, second row again.
And again, these set pieces so important, just in an effort to control the game.
That was a nice tip from Scottish to steal that line out. Scottish got the ball back right away though.
Here's a Kiki driving forward. Ruck forms. Kingston has it. Ivy Lee Kelly moving forward down to the outside. Big push to the outside. And Kingston getting aggressive now, down 7-0. All the way outside for Anna Moores. Moores stopped. Pretty aggressive defense so far from the Barrhaven Scottish women.
I think so. They've got to be thinking, obviously, that they don't want to let it get much closer to half-time being behind.
17 minutes gone here in this opening half. The try coming from Sydney Seymour of Barrhaven. She made it 5-0, and then Jackie Titley converted the try. And now it'll be another Scottish line-out as that ball kicked out on the full. And this is what we expected from Barrhaven. A lot of kicking, trying to move the ball and field possession and field position. So important if they're going to be successful against this Kingston team. And you can tell they're turning it up a little.
Oh, there you go.
Barrhaven controlling off the line out. Titley. Little dish for Lovett. Lovett for Akiki, driving close to the Kingston 22. All the way back out. Strike. Nice offload there for Seymour. Seymour cuts inside. Sydney Seymour trying to get close to the posts. Can she get in? She does! A great individual effort by Sydney Seymour, and it's 12-0 Barrhaven Scottish.
That was lovely to see the ball pass through so many sets of hands. Got to Seymour, and then got into the try zone. Nice little cut there. Seymour's actually got a background in gymnastics. So if she's ever tackled, she does recover and bounces up quite well.
And no better position for Titley to convert this one directly in front of the goalposts, and she takes it out 21 meters out. But again, we don't see any flags on the goalposts here, but we can feel the wind brewing a little bit, freshening and blowing in what would be a right to left pattern for Titley on this conversion.
Agreed. It may look like she might need to aim for that school in the background, but she'll be aiming it to slot it right between the posts.
And she does. 14-0 for Barrhaven. Scottish, a little surprised by things, the way they transpired here in the opening half so far.
I think they're just gelling. Their confidence is building. I think perhaps Kingston might have been taken by surprise. They've had a few good minutes on offense, but been playing largely defense these last sort of 10 minutes or so. Kingston Panthers with a very proud history, a very big club down in the Kingston along the Seaway, all the way from minis to seniors and old boys. I know they've got, the girls alone under 18, they've got close to 70 registered players already this summer. A great club, social. Lots of kids end up in rep.
That rolls into touch.
Yep.
That's usually what happens to me off the tee box. Actually, it kind of goes straight, but ends up in the rough.
Gotta hit the fairways. So again, Sarah Armstrong will get set to put the ball in. Paulina Kark, the number 8, out there as well. Danielle Belanger getting her first action. And Belanger has the ball go right through her fingers, the ball knocked on. And it should be a Kingston scrum.
Those were very slippery fingers. Maybe overdosed on the moisturizing cream this morning.
You put that on before a match? Make you slippery.
Could be the sunscreen. Could be the sunscreen.
There you go. At least 30 SPF.
I'm in an area.
Scrum is engaged. Ball is in. All the way back out. Taken by Hadley McPherson, and she's pushed into touch. And they're taking a water break, and this is what we discussed earlier about erring on the side of caution on a really, really warm, humid day that we're experiencing today. They have to get hydrated. So important.
And so do we. I'm not sure that's Hadley in number 17. Now, I don't have my binoculars with me. They're on the Panthers. I will make an inquiry about that. I know she's listed on the roster's number 17. Hadley's actually just finishing grade 12 in Kingston and is on her way this summer to a university as far away from home as possible, but still be in the same country, and that is she's head off to University of Victoria and hoping to make the squad out there, the Vikes. Now, Victoria, of course, is home this year to the National University Women's Championships, and that's in November, hosted at UVic.
Ottawa had the opportunity to host the women a few years back. at the University of Ottawa at Matt Anthony Field, and it was a really special week for the University of Ottawa hosting those national championships.
It is. It does great things for rugby, for tourism as well, but for rugby, just to raise the profile in a community. You know, in Ottawa, it would be sort of a sellout crowd at Matt Anthony Field. It certainly was down in Kingston back in November, which hosted the men's and women's again, a couple of weeks apart. And I remember attending the semifinals and the finals, and it was standing room only.
So, just about set to get back underway. Did the clock stop for that water break?
It did not.
It did not.
I'm looking, of course, at the clock from our mobile truck, but we will find out at halftime or at the end of the game if the referee goes into extra time.
Direct push there by Danielle Belanger. Ruck forms, and the ball comes out. Barrhaven, Titley, moving that one. Ashley Strike moves it forward, and Barrhaven attempting to go wide. Nice cut inside by Titley. Offloads for Arsenault. Arsenault driving forward, and again, Barrhaven wants to work the right side. Titley with the kick, and this gives the ball back. Isabella Roos picks it up, and a ball knocked on.
Knocked on, even though she was backwards.
Lee Ellen, do you hear me?
Good attempt. Really hard to figure out where the ball is going to go after it's bounced.
So it'll be a Barrhaven Scottish scrum. 25 minutes into this opening half. According to our clock, but the only clock that really matters is on the wrist of referee Mikhailo Wyszynski. Arsenault sends that out right into the hands of Ivy Lee Kelly. She drives forward. Arsenault digs it out of Kiki. Again, tries to cut back inside. Kingston now with control. Katie Williams. Got it forward. Arsenault. Arsenault sends that one off.
Now that's Meg McCoy, who's turning 19 this year.
Here's Arsenault getting through. Arsenault with some speed with a nice cut. Arsenault still on her feet. Ashley Strike trying to bring her down. Arsenault stays on her feet, and she'll score. Alessa Arsenault with a big run, probably 65 yards, as she broke through a seam in the Barrhaven defense and took it the rest of the way.
Very nice and slippery. A couple of failed tackles on her there, so she should be feeling pretty good about that. It was great to see Kingston coming up with some support, as it was needed there in case she was tackled or attempted to be tackled a third time.
So that, a big try for the Kingston Panthers as they climb their way back into this one after Barrhaven took a 14-0 lead. Katie Williams getting set to attempt the conversion. And the wind beginning to freshen a little bit more here at Rowan's pitch. She needed a tee. They had to go back to the bench for a tee.
It should be one of those muscle memory parts of rugby, that when there's a try, that somebody's just automatically coming out with the tee. They shouldn't have to ask for it.
Williams puts it through. 14-7 now for Barrhaven Scottish women. This is the senior women's firsts. Barrhaven Scottish in blue with the red tartan. Kingston in black with gold trim.
If you notice the conversion there by Katie Williams, she is left-footed, which can come in very handy during the game if she's ever prone to a grubber or a little kick forward to one of her teammates.
Certainly a strategy that that pays off if you're able to execute.
The big if.
So the Scottish getting prepared to kick the ball away.
It's a hot day, dig deep.
Kingston back in this one on a beautiful try from Alessia Arsenault.
Go, Scottish!
Here's Jackie Titley.
Hard, Jeff.
Jackie's doesn't just coach the Scottish women. Jackie's also one of the coaches that is selected to the Rugby Canada Development Academy for young women. So she is a coach in Eastern Ontario. A number of women from the junior rep program, young women, are selected after a series of tryouts to do some additional training during the winter months and hone their skills in the hopes that they could end up pulling on the provincial and if not the national Maple Leaf jersey one day.
Ball's loose into the hands of Caitlin Edge. Or make that Morgan Hummel, excuse me. And now Kingston started to go wide, pushed forward. Being a little more selective, Ashley Strike in a defensive posture forces the Kingston player to the ground. Arsenault for Harris. Harris, tough to bring down. Kingston going wide, little scissor. And a good push by the Panthers to get to midfield. Harris, again, cutting upfield with some speed, tries the offload, and Ashley Strike got in the way. Now, there's a race for it. Down to the Barrhaven 22. Megan Mccoy.
Oh, I did blink, but she came down. I thought that would have been called as a knock-on. The ball went forward and then was kicked by a teammate.
Morgan Hummel to the Barrhaven 22. Here's McPherson. McPherson into the end zone for the try.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Just off camera, a few people trying to catch their breath and make some adjustments to those long ponytails to make sure everybody stays safe in this game. Just take a look at this again. There we go with the pass to Hadley. McPherson, number 17. And a nice, easy touch
Now,
to score that try for her.
you'd think this conversion would be a little easier for the lefty, Katie Williams, here.
Don't know. What you'll see in the background, hopefully it's not distracting, is actually a very large inflatable sort of rugby pitch provided by Rugby Canada's rookie rugby program. And that's to introduce young kids around the age of 5 to 8 into rugby. It was very popular. It sort of travels around the country. It was in use earlier today. But let's see how this kick goes. I just feel the wind is eased a little bit. Katie Williams is a pretty calm person. Running some water out to her is Jess Hines. Jess is finishing grade 12 and off to Queens next year, wearing that number 24 jersey. Jess was part of the RCDA, the Development Academy I was just speaking about, and has been coached by Jackie Titley, her current teammate.
So, might be a change.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It went off the post to the right, just narrowly missed.
So, that try goes unconverted, and that's the difference in this one so far. 14-12, Barrhaven in front with a little less than 8 minutes to go here in this opening half.
You may see there, just walking to the right of your screen, carrying the flag, but barefooted, almost in more of a New Zealand tradition, is the president of Ottawa Scottish, and that is John Dingwall. So today, for this game, he is the AR, running the touch line. He's recognized because he's always kitted out in full Scottish kit. John cut his teeth playing for the Nova Scotia Celtics when he was in the Navy.
When we arrived a little after 9 o'clock this morning, John was the first to greet us.
Rugby is in his veins. Here we go.
Roos picks up the loose ball, heads down the sideline. Isabella Roos will not be caught. Isabella Roos gives the Kingston Panthers the lead.
Great to see that there was support there for her, but she had enough gas in the tank. As expensive as it is these days, her tank was full, and she went for it.
So Kingston now leading 17-14 with the convert pending. What a run by Isabella Roos. And from the midfield stripe, Lee Ellen, we knew that nobody was going to catch her.
I think actually that might be Michaela Mccoy. I think. I see your roster's a little bit different than mine.
We'll get that sorted out.
Certainly a fast woman in the black and gold.
Actually, it was Michaela Niameki.
It looks like she is going to
Get a well-deserved
take a
rest.
little break. A long break after that.
Just about set to get underway once again, and this has to be a little deflating for the Barrhaven Scottish senior women with 17 unanswered points.
Makes for a better game to watch, though, when you've got some back and forth and an unexpected outcome.
The convert makes it 19-14. And now Kingston on the offense once again. McPherson held up there by Shayna Sammy. McPherson continues to keep her legs going and driving forward. Arsenault back out once again. Little offload to Jess Hines, and Caitlin Neveu was expecting the pass, but it went behind her. And it'll be a Barrhaven scrum. So Barrhaven scrum. Susanna Bodang getting set to distribute. Scrum fully engaged. Ball's in. And out. Bodang. Move that one for Kelly. She gets it outside. Titley finds Tamara Butera into the try zone, and it's good. Barrhaven has taken the lead back. Actually tied it up. The convert will give them the lead.
You see that Jackie Titley gave her the pass, but she was right there in support. And then the first one there to congratulate her teammate.
So 19 apiece with the convert pending. This will be perhaps one of the more difficult conversion attempts that Jackie Titley will make. From the far angle, she's out beyond the 22, just trying to get a good line on this. And this is a long kick.
There's a long outside of her own 22, or rather Panther 22, but nerves of steel, this one.
So Titley prepares herself. Here she goes. The kick is up, and it's going to be wide right. Would have been short too, but the longest possible conversion goes unrewarded, and it's 19 apiece. So almost an entire first half here, Lee Allen, and nothing settled.
That's the way it'll keep the audience sticking around for the second half.
I like that too.
Keep everybody guessing. I think during the intermission I'd like to do some roster checks, because I think Kingston Panthers wearing the number 12 that we believe is Caitlin Naveau. I don't think that's Caitlin Naveau. I've been on tour with Caitlin Naveau to the New York Sevens and some Ontario Sevens games.
Well, getting accurate rosters has been the bane of my existence for a long time.
I think that's true in all live sports.
Arsenault, or make that Beaudin with a good run on the kick return. Belanger had to go back for it. McPherson trying to wrestle the ball free, and Belanger hangs on. Strike
Kick.
for Titley. Titley to the sidelines, and it goes into touch on the full. So beyond 40 minutes now.
That is intermission.
So they've called it. And after 40 minutes of play, absolutely nothing settled. The Kingston Panthers 19, the Barrhaven Scottish women's senior first team 19. What a great first half. Both teams supplying all kinds of offense. And we'll be back with the second half coming up after these words. You're watching the EORU Senior Women's Rugby on Rogers TV. Ross Park in Barrhaven in the west end of the nation's capital. It's the Eastern Ontario Rugby Union, the senior women's first division, and it's 19-19 between the Barrhaven Scottish and the Kingston Panthers. Dan Mooney alongside Lee Ellen Carroll, the manager for the women's national, or the men's under 20 national rugby team. And Lee Ellen, a pretty decent first half offensively for both of these sides.
Very decent. Absolutely, but please don't give me any more promotions. I'm pretty low on the rung of the Rugby Canada ladder. Just to volunteer where I can here and there. I think we're just seconds away from the kickoff, and our instincts were right in the first half. That indeed the roster had been updated since it was published and handed to us. So we will see a change. Number 12. That was doing so well in the first half is a young woman named Isabella Ruse. I had the pleasure of going on tour with her. She played Ontario Sevens as a junior player and ended up at a sort of an all-Canadian all-star matchup on Vancouver Island a few years ago.
And Michelle Mccoy with that big try. We were calling her Isabella Roos because of the information that we were presented with. We can only work with what we have, folks.
I can tell you, they both run very quickly.
Oh, yeah. 19-19. And it'll be a Kingston scrum. No, it'll be a Barrhaven scrum right at midfield. Scrum is engaged. Ball is in. And scrum breaks Belanger. Little flip for Beaudin. Beaudin dropped that one off. Ashley Strike had some difficulty bringing it in. And Strike forms the ruck. Once again, it's the prop Rebecca Fournier moving forward. For Sammy. Sammy, that pass intercepted by Caitlin Edge, the hooker for Kingston. Out to the outside. Here's a big break.
Now let me tell you who that is. That is Hadley McPherson.
And she's in. So the second half in the early going. Just less than 2 minutes in, and Hadley McPherson goes into the try zone and gives the Kingston Panthers a 24-19 lead.
Now, isn't that a nice way to start off the second half? Your first minute on the field, and you score a try, and 2 months from now, she'll be sitting in Victoria.
And no better position for Katie Williams to attempt this conversion directly in front of the posts.
You can see there happening behind the ladies with the Scottish kit on. You could see the men from Ottawa Irish are warming up. They're on the pitch after this game, which may actually be shown before this game by the time it gets to broadcast.
Williams puts it through. And it's now 26-19. And how important is it here, Lee Ellen, for Barrhaven to come up with an answer quickly?
I think part of their answer may come from the enthusiasm of the crowd. This is what's known in rugby as a club day, where you feature a lot of your own teams, game after game after game. Make it a social event, families are out, lots of things to try, lots of burgers to be consumed. So we think we need a little bit of louder crowd. And Jackie Titley, captain, about to take the kick here, as well as the coach, she has the gravitas to pull this team together.
Titley with the drop. Kick didn't go 10 meters. And it goes into touch. So it'll be a scrum at midfield. And it will be a Kingston scrum.
It's a nice thing about the sportsmanship of rugby is when you see a member of the opposite team bringing the ball to the team that has just gained possession.
Well, I guess the intent of rugby has always been to sort of be gentlemanly and civil toward each other. And a big break here down the sideline. Little offload there.
Well tackled.
Great open field tackle. To the outside, it's Harris. Harris pulling through. Harris wrapped up there by Titley, finally brought to ground. To the outside, Morgan Hummel tries to push forward inside now. The Barrhaven 22. All the way out. There's dugout. Louise Patosha moving that one forward. And again, another big offensive push by Kingston.
And that was Megan Mccoy. She's now 19 and about to start her post-secondary career. I've had the pleasure of going on tour with her to Las Vegas. She is strong and she's got wheels and she's going to have a great, bright future in rugby.
How do you concentrate on rugby in Vegas?
They were minors. That's all we focused on.
So here's Jackie Titley. She'll try to get this into touch beyond the 22. And she does. On the full.
I thought just for a second that Michelle there with the Panthers was going to jump up and pop that back to a teammate. But the moment passed.
So it's a line out here for Barrhaven, and nice for them to get out of the shadow of their own goalposts here. And we've got a substitution. Susanna Baudin coming, or being told to stay out there. And it's Faith Akiki coming off. Coming on in her stead, I believe it's Sydney Seymour, who has 2 tries in this one for Barrhaven.
So they must be allowing for substitutes to go back onto the field in this heat. And it could just be due to the reality that the teams don't necessarily have 23 players to field on a day. And in the interest of player safety, allowing people to sub off and come back on.
And it's Barrhaven ball. Offside against Kingston. And that ball kicked into touch on the full again. And now Barrhaven continues to move up the pitch. And this is important. Down 7 here, almost at the outset of the second half.
Can we narrow this gap, please? Ladies? This is yours.
Sarah Armstrong ready to get the ball in.
Kingston with the steal.
And a good aggressive steal there. Emma Glenn to midfield. All the way out, McPherson into and out of the hands of Megan Mccoy. All the way back out again, Harris. Fakes the offload, uses the decoy, and continues to push forward from the number 8 position. Again. Ruck forms. Barrhaven looking to dig the ball out. Kingston comes up with it. Caitlin Edge. And Michelle Niemecki there as well. And another injured player directly in front of the Scottish bench. Not sure who it is. It looks like it's a prop. No, it's number 4, Jess Moosey again, and she was shaken up in the first half.
If we'd been broadcasting the games earlier today with the minors and the young juniors, the U14, sometimes a freezy is the best medicine.
Always. I'd be using it to put on my bruises. So
Water, ma'am. Sure, come over.
not sure exactly what's going on. A little bit of a huddle to discuss some strategy with the front line
I was just holding it low.
on this line out. Kingston has been successful in interrupting these lineouts for Barrhaven so far in this one.
And I wonder if that's a strategy behind Barrhaven's delay or perceived delay in setting their lineouts. Look at this.
Danielle Belanger pulling forward inside the Kingston 22. Another push there. That's Susanna Baudin trying to drive toward the try line. All the way to the outside. Here's Titley. Makes a one-handed grab, cuts back inside, and she's about 5 meters out. Barrhaven with another big push. Ashley Strike trying to hold up the ruck. Another push inside.
So the ball bobbled a little bit there.
Another close to the line. About a meter out. Barrhaven trying to drive. Kingston trying to hold the line.
They will not give up in their efforts to equalize this game.
All the way to the outside. Bouncing ball to Titley. Titley held up there by Mccoy. Here's Belanger. Tries to drive it through. Did she get over? No, she's about 1 meter out. Another big push by the Scottish. Trying to get it through. Little pitch to the outside. Big hit at the line as Ivy Lee Kelly tries to get through unsuccessfully.
Great defense under pressure being shown by the Panthers.
Another push at the line by Belanger. Ball comes out to the outside. Here's
Smart.
once again into the end zone. It's Sydney Seymour with her third try of the afternoon, and that gets the Scottish back within a couple. There's another look, and boy, you have to admire the tenacity of the Kingston defenses. They just kept holding Barrhaven at bay.
I lost count of how many phases there were. I might need to bring in an accountant for that. The numbers were getting a little out of scope there.
So,
Good job, Scottish!
no doubt, a couple of members of the Scottish getting some attention from training staff after that sequence, which lasted probably about 2 minutes at the line.
I'd say so. If you were on the receiving end, it probably felt more like forever.
Ashley Strike was one of the players getting attention. And here's Jackie Titley with her conversion attempt. Titley, the kick is up and wide right, or wide left, excuse me. And that goes unrewarded, and Barrhaven back in it, trailing 26-24 with about 25 minutes to go. Little over 25 minutes to go here in this women's senior firsts match in the Eastern Ontario Rugby Union. And the sport of rugby growing in leaps and bounds, and I think in large part it had to do with, especially in this country, with the performance of the women in sevens at the Olympics.
And you, of course, are talking about the Rio Olympics when the women podiumed and took home bronze. And we saw an explosion of interest in rugby. and then it repeated again when the Pan Am Games were hosted in Toronto. There was a real fascination by people that were previously unfamiliar with rugby, who are now great fans. And Rugby Canada has partnered with CBC Sports to show Sevens games. The World Series is off right now. I believe their next stop is in Los Angeles at the end of August. It'll be the second time the series stops in Los Angeles. It used to be Las Vegas, but it's a great opportunity not just to see teams from around the world, from Kenya, South Africa, France, England, and of course Canada, but also an opportunity to see some elite college players, some social teams, and then loads and loads and loads of junior teams.
When's that?
That's the end of August.
Okay.
One of the final weekends, not long before Labor Day. It used to be a tournament that was held in Las Vegas, but the contract changed a few years ago, and it was held in February of 2020, and we know what happened in the world a month after that.
Don't we all? It was the weekend of March 5th through 8th in 2020. I was involved in the U Sports Final 8 basketball tournament at TD Place, and then on the 10th of March, the 67s had a makeup game, and I was there for that, and then the world stopped.
And here we are, get going again.
On the kick, that's Tamara Butera and Sammy in there over the top as well. So
Great wrecking over by Panthers.
Katie Williams with a quick cut up the middle. Belanger, penalty called on her. That's Grace Anderson wearing number 17. Another big push and a good defensive stop there. All the way to the outside. Harris keeps the legs going, gets into the corner, and she's into the zone, the try zone for 5. Darcy Harris restores the 7-point advantage, and it looks as if they have a great opportunity to make it a 9-point lead.
It looks like that. Now, Darcy, of course, is the player wearing the blue scrum cap. Scrum cap being there to protect your ears from all the rubbing in the scrum in an effort to avoid getting a cauliflower ear. But Darcy, powerful, knowledgeable, and right now, very happy.
31-24 with the convert pending. This will be a long kick for Katie Williams. And that isn't going to make it. Short kick by Williams, 31-24, so the lead now a converted try. And Kingston in control of this one with a little less than 21 minutes to go.
Just take a minute to reset here.
How often are these women working out per week? Is it 3 or 4 times a week, or once or twice?
Well, depends what you mean by working out, because at the club level, teams would typically train together twice a week on the pitch, and then rugby day is Saturday, is game day. It's rugby day around the world on Saturday. Now, many of them outside of that, of course, choose to train, whether it's at the gym or work on some sprint work, their mobility and stretching. A lot of these ladies obviously are working full-time. If they're not full-time students, many of them following the strong tradition of rugby and giving back. So when you're a player, you end up coaching juniors or learning how to ref or taking a coach clinic.
Well, I was thinking more in terms of fitness levels, and especially on a day like this, where to go a full 80 is nothing short of a miracle.
It's tough, and there's no way of training for it other than doing it.
So this, a Barrhaven Scottish scrum, about 3 meters outside the Kingston 22. Barrhaven trailing by a converted try.
There's a referee shortage across Ontario, so it's been difficult to schedule club games every Saturday. And certain regions have had to force their games onto Wednesday nights or Sundays just to accommodate all of the games that need to be played between the end of May and the end of August.
Ashley Strike inside the 22, stays on her feet, sets up the ruck. Butera drops it off for Mootsie. Jess Mootsie pours forward. Barrhaven continuing to press. That's, I believe, Faith Akiri comes all the way back out for Aluna Jimenez. All the way outside. Shayna Sammy directly in front. Michaela Lovett is there as well, all the way to the outside.
Here we go,
There's
Jackie.
Tilly.
Yeah.
Titley for Seymour, and Seymour is in for her 4th try of the afternoon.
Nicely set up by Jackie with the loop around with a quick pass to Seymour.
31-29 Kingston. And now Barrhaven with an opportunity. There's the offload. Titley to Seymour, and Sydney Seymour has her 4th try of this match. So if you have to start thinking of player of the match, you certainly don't have to look very far other than Sydney Seymour.
I don't necessarily think the player of the match is the person that gets the most points on the board.
All depends on the game.
I think it often looks as the playmaker, the one who is setting the team up for success. And you're right, it does depend on the game.
Today, Titley with, I guess, the control. Here's Titley with the conversion attempt, and it's good. From well out, Jackie Titley ties this one at 31.
There's Jackie Titley there. If you weren't watching earlier on, Jackie has been capped many times by Team Canada. Constantly giving back to the game. Currently is a coach of this team. She also coaches the Rugby Canada Development Academy here in Eastern Ontario, made up of young women. She plays with the game, and she loves to get involved in rookie rugby, where we engage kids ages sort of 5 to 8 and give them an opportunity to pass the ball around.
On almost 64 minutes and nothing is settled, and a nice run here to get things going on the return by the Barrhaven Scottish. Here's Titley, sends that one, offloads for Lovett. Michaela Lovett goes forward. Bodang, another couple of quick passes all the way outside. Strike, Ashley Strike with it. Gets away from Caitlin Edge, moves forward a few more meters. There's Belanger, keeps the legs driving forward. Barrhaven almost to midfield. Bodang for Butera, and there's the grubber by Titley. Arsenault kicks that one all the way back, and no knock-on call. Here comes, once again, Sammy. Gives it to Belanger. She rolls forward. Forms the ruck. All the way back for Armstrong. Armstrong tied up.
Great possession of the ball by Armstrong.
Sammy to the outside. Butera, Titley. Love it. All the way to the outside. And a good offensive push there by Barrhaven, but it's a penalty against the Scottish.
It's a great offensive push, and I've noticed that Scottish have really picked up the pace of distributing the ball.
So that ball kicked into touch on the full. It will be a Kingston line out, and they're all kind of breathing a sigh of relief over on the far side.
Well, anything could happen in the next 14, 15 minutes.
And it's now, this is what you train for, these final 15 minutes of any match in any sport. To tell you the truth, this is what you put yourself in a position to do, and at 31-31, this game's still up for grabs for both sides.
Not many Panthers throw-ins this game, but they won their own there.
All the way to the
There
outside.
we go. It's Megan McCoy with great pass.
And there's Yameki driving forward, tied up. Arsenault comes up with the ball, distributes that to Grace Anderson down the sideline. Anderson tries to cut back in, and she's met there by Seymour.
I think by Seymour's head. She just went head first into that and bounced straight back.
Megan McCoy taken down. Williams brought to ground, and a penalty. It'll be the ball knocked on. Maybe, I'm not sure. It looks like it's going to be a Barrhaven scrum, and they'll get the ball back and an opportunity to kick the ball into touch and get a line out beyond the 22.
Just a substitution going on here, and the referee will wait for the sub to be in position before setting the scrum. I know it's sunny, but it's not often you see a referee wear sunglasses in a game.
Well, it's the UV protection.
Of course.
Not sure about a number of the player coming in for Barrhaven. As soon as we see a number, we'll get it for you. We'll get the name. Barrhaven scrum. Susanna Baudin sets it in. Scrum wheeling a bit. And Barrhaven penalty. Here's Williams trying to drive forward. Good open field tackle there by Baudin. Great push earlier, and there's Jimenez getting the ball through. And somebody over the top. And it'll be Kingston ball directly in front of the posts. There's Morgan Hummel. Dishes off for Edge. Drives forward to the far side now. There's a quick hit for McPherson, and she's in for the try. Hadley McPherson restores a 5-point lead for the Kingston Panthers. Her second try of this second half makes it 36-31 Kingston. Ashley Strike, again, having another conversation, looking for a clarification of some kind from referee Mikhailov Wyzyczenski.
I think there on the screen with the ginger French braid, I think that is Elise Voskamp, also just graduating from high school and about to head off on her post-secondary and play some rugby away from home.
Katie Williams gets the kick away,
Yep.
and it's good. 38-31,
Clean and clear.
Kingston.
With only about 10 minutes left in the game, I imagine the Irish players there behind that set of posts we just saw, they should be wrapping up their warm-up soon and hydrating and getting their jerseys on.
Irish men's side completely dominating the Eastern Ontario Rugby Union men's first division. And now Barrhaven.
The long, slow walk to
Oh.
the restart.
Well, this is not only to maybe to eat some time off the clock, which they can ill afford to spend really at this point, but it's just exhaustion set in too.
Absolutely. And the Scottish have no one left on the bench to sub in.
They've had some injury problems, and there's a knock on. That ball was knocked on by Emma Glenn as she was just trying to make the grab on the kick.
You just have to have that basket set. Receiving the high kick is tough. It's skill. You've got to have the timing of closing that basket bang on.
So this will be a Barrhaven scrum, trailing again by a converted try. They've traded them here. Kingston opened the scoring in the second half. Barrhaven answered. Kingston came back with a try. Barrhaven answered. And then Kingston comes back and scores on their next possession. All the way to the outside. Kelly. Nice cut. Nice cut. Upfield as the Scottish get close to the Kingston 22. Bodang gets right to the 22.
She had a nice little dummy there.
Haley Cox moving forward. All the way out. Armstrong grabbed there by Harris almost immediately. Kingston steals, and a great hit there by Ashley Strike.
I think that young woman without a number on the back of her jersey, I think that could be Caitlin Naveau. And that would be for an improper fend.
And a yellow card.
Yeah. I'm not sure of the name.
So, even though Jackie Titley is one of the better kickers, they're not going to kick at goal here. They could have, but now they're going for a line out about the 5-meter line to try to set up the try.
You're right. Yes, she had the option of actually kicking for some points. It would have been 3 points if she had slotted it, but that's just not enough to catch up with the score line that Kingston have put on the scoreboard.
So Caitlin Naveau into the sin bin. And that may take her out of the match for the remainder of this one.
It would, that's right. So that means Kingston is now playing a man down for the remainder of the game. Unless, of course, there's injury time added at the end of 80 minutes.
So the Barrhaven line out, and again, Kingston successful in breaking it up.
Oh.
They try to kick right into the hands of number 8, Paulina Kirk, and she's in for the try.
It was a risk she had to take, but it was a fatal error, really. A quick kick, but somebody from Scottish was right there to block it. Led to their try.
And field position for Jackie Titley to convert this
That was
very
7.
fortuitous try for Barrhaven, right into the arms of the number 8, Paulina Kark, and basically had to take a couple of steps and get the ball onto the ground for the touch.
Nice play, quick reflexes. But knowing Kingston, they're not giving up.
Jess Hines held on to the ball, and now Jackie Titley has it firmly in her grasp, and she'll get set to convert that try with just 4 minutes to go, and she'll try to tie things up here. But the way they've been trading tries in this second half, you know that Kingston's going to come back with something.
I think they'll come back with something, and you know at the end of the game too, since it's been so balanced, that they're really going to enjoy one another's company after the match.
Jackie Titley. And that conversion is good. We're tied 38 apiece here at Rowan's pitch.
She's trying to hide her smile there, but it is well earned.
.38. And if this ends in a tie, it ends in a tie.
That's the way it is in rugby. In high school rugby, when you're going for the championships, for a playoff spot, in the hopes of going to OFSA, the Ontario Secondary School Championships in effect, it'll go into about 5 minutes of overtime each way, and if it's still not settled, they actually go to kicks. Just never a good way to win or lose.
Bouncing ball into the hands of Faith Akiki.
I think a little hesitation there.
Ball knocked on. Baudin falls on it, sets up the ruck. Sammy for Belanger. Danielle Belanger keeps the legs going, running right into Caitlin Edge. Ruck forming again. Kingston had to get back on side. Butera dishes off there for Kelly. Ivy Lee Kelly gets it forward. Baudin moves it out to the outside. And good ball movement here by Barrhaven in the late going of this one.
A little dummy there. Everybody set up to receive the catch. Nobody there to pick it off of post.
All the way out. Here's Belanger again. Offloads for Sammy. Sammy with some running room gets over midfield. Shayna Sammy moves it forward. Quick hit there by Belanger once again. All the way out. Here's Belanger.
Pretty calm receiving that just in one hand. Looked like she was picking up a bag of groceries in her arm.
Taken to ground by Williams.
Faith
Butera. Faith Akiki. Baudin to the number 8, Paulina Kark, who's got the last try. Back out for Haley Cox. She cut back inside. Barrhaven controlling here. And penalty here against Kingston. No, it's against Barrhaven, and it will be a Kingston scrum.
This would be the time for Kingston to capitalize on this opportunity. They are still playing with one player down. This is the way it's going to be to the end of the game. So now is their time. Elise Voskamp there is scrummy, wearing jersey number 23.
Voskamp Sets it in.
That's Jess Hines,
Hines
8-man
takes
pick.
it out. Hines taken to ground. Ball comes loose. Barrhaven fighting for it. Hines hanging on. And Bode appealing to the officials. Barrhaven gets a free kick, and does Titley go for goal here?
It's a long kick, almost from the broadcast booth to get to the uprights.
It would be probably about maybe 40 meters.
Your measuring tape is as good as mine.
About 40 meters, and with a crosswind, Titley's going to try it. Titley's going to try it, and this could be the winner.
Of course, we are in extra time now. We've gone past the 80 minutes of regulation. We're in injury time. Nobody knows when the final whistle goes except for the official, Mikhailo Wyzachanski.
While the wind has freshened a little here, flags are blowing. It's a brisk wind. It'll be left to right for Jackie Titley. She's got the leg for this, and here she goes for the win, and she's wide left.
And quite short. Picked up by Isabella Ruse there.
Ruse has it, goes to the outside.
Pass.
Nice offload, and still in bounds. Yeah, that was asking a lot of Jackie Titley from about 40 meters out with that wind, and the wind, she kicked it into that wind, and it didn't blow it back.
After playing a full 80 minutes plus in this game, and it looks to me like that was the final whistle.
So a 38-38 draw here at Rowan's Pitch in Ken Ross Park in Barrhaven. Surprise, surprise.
Lovely, lovely outcome for somebody like me as an observer of the game and neutral party. That was great to see both of them take to the pitch. Thankful to Kingston for making their way up the highway to be here at Rowan's Pitch, and to everybody at Ottawa Barrhaven Scottish for hosting this club day.
So the Scottish improved to 1-0-1 after a 38-38 draw this afternoon against the Kingston Panthers. For our entire Rogers TV crew and Lee Ellen Carroll, I'm Dan Mooney. Thanks so much for the company. We'll see you next time on Rogers Sports Exclusive.